Mr. Maurer, your testimony describes GAO's review of the CBP's operational field testing division covert tests. Your review found several areas in which the CBP could do a better job of targeting its limited covert testing resources. Do you believe that the CBP has taken the steps necessary to identify systemic trends and systemic weaknesses and to resolve these trends and weaknesses in a timely manner when and where they are found? And let me tell you why I'm asking this question and a series of questions. I've found it so often, as in Katrina, we have a situation where we're talking to each other, telling us everything's going to be fine, and then we say when the rubber meets the road, everything is going to be fine. But then when it comes time for the rubber to meet the road, we discover there is no road. So where are we? Talk to me.
Yeah, sure. We had 3 recommendations.
Keep your voice up.
We had 3 recommendations to CBP in our report last year. CBP has taken actions to address all 3 of those recommendations. So they've taken actions to try to use a more risk-based approach to target their limited resources for covert testing to areas that are of higher risk or on the technologies that are a little more that were more costly to deploy and to use. They've also done a better job of following up on the recommendations on the findings of their prior covert tests. So in other words, when they found problems in the past, want to make sure those problems have been recognized and those problems have been fixed. They've made improvements in that realm as well. They haven't done enough quite yet for us to consider those recommendations closed, but they are very close, and we're pleased with the progress they've made. It's only been about a year since our report came out.
Now, is the deployment of DHS's screening and detection capabilities across our nation's seaports done in a manner that corresponds specifically to the varying threat levels and scenarios at each port? Or is the deployment simply based on a single standard that all ports are to meet, and if so, are all ports meeting the standard?
The radiation detection equipment is deployed to ensure that every single container is scanned for radiation before it leaves the port and enters into the United States. So from that perspective, DHS is making investment decisions to ensure that everything is looked at before it's entered onto the roads of the United States.
Now, Admiral Brown, can you please discuss the steps being taken to counter the risk posed by the smuggling of people on board vessels arriving at U.S. ports, and what trends are you observing in human smuggling and on board vessels?
Okay, thank you for that question, sir. I'll really address this in 2 different ways. We did have, for quite a while, a problem with stowaways on commercial vessels, but since the implementation of the International Port Security Code and the reciprocal arrangement that I described in which we can go out and assess port security at international facilities, the number of stowaways on commercial vessels has dropped dramatically over the past decade. We're down in essentially single digits per month of stowaways on commercial vessels arriving in the United States.
As compared to what?
As compared to what had been hundreds in the early 2000s. And the fiscal responsibility for the repatriation of those stowaways is on the shippers and shipping companies. And so the shippers and the ship captains are highly incentivized to prevent stowaways from coming on board. So that problem has been mitigated substantially with a combination of international standards and appropriate financial incentives. With regard to migrants coming on more traditional pathways from the Caribbean, South and Central America toward the United States, including Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, we do have a nationality and threat screening process. In the case of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, it involves biometric scanning of many of the people who are attempting to get in. And we have maritime repatriation agreements with Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, and Cuba that ensure that those migrants interdicted at sea are in very high percentages returned to their country of departure or origin.
Now, Mr. Owen, in your testimony, you identified the Secure Freight Initiative in Pakistan as an example of the CBP's strong working relationship with our foreign partners. As I understand it, the Secure Freight Initiative was previously being implemented at several foreign ports other than the one in Pakistan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Secure Freight was our pilot programs to test 100% scanning overseas, 2007 through 2010. Qasim, Pakistan was one of the 6 locations we piloted in.
I see my time has expired, so I'll have some questions in writing.
Thank the gentleman.